Mr. and Mrs. Day, Mr. Holland, members of the Board of Trustees, family, friends, and special guests, faculty, staff, and of course, our Cardigan boys. My name is David Perfield. I'm the Assistant Head of School for External Relations here. It is my pleasure to welcome you to Cardigan Mountain School and the installation ceremony of Christopher Day, our 10th Head of School. The purpose of the installation ceremony is to honor a moment of historical significance in the life of the school. To help us celebrate this historical moment, Chris, Mr. Day, asked his good friend Tyler Lewis to deliver the invocation for his installation. Chris and Cynthia share a close friendship with Tyler and his wife Renee. Their friendship started many years ago at Holderness School. Today, Tyler, Renee, and their children live at Bishop's College School in Sherbrooke, Quebec. Tyler is beginning his second year as the head of school. Described by Mr. Day to be a total connector and full of positive energy, let's all give a warm Cardigan welcome to Mr. Tyler Lewis.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here. And thank you to Dave for that gracious introduction. Board members, special guests, Chris and Cynthia, it's wonderful to be here. And most directly, the boys in green out there. It's great to be back surrounded by the Cardigan boys. In thinking about how to introduce the Days on this occasion, I came to the realization that one of the things I know about heads of school and students is that you're going to get to know each other really well. And that relationship rests at the core of great schools like Cardigan. Mr. Day is going to learn so much about you because primarily that's who he is. That's why he's here. He cares deeply about the growth and development of kids, and you're going to feel that. You'll feel it when he asks you questions. And you don't get off the hook very easily when Mr. Day asks you questions. Have you noticed this yet? He's a master at it. He waits, and sometimes you start to squirm a little bit because he's a master at invoking in you the self-reflection, the time to really think about the question you're being asked and engage in meaningful dialogue, not just sidewalk banter. It's almost unique, that skill now, given the pace of our lives, the rate at which we travel, the number of items we have to click off in our agenda. It's not only unique, but it's also kind. And it's friendly. It's engaging. And at your core, it just makes you feel good. He cares what you have to say, and so all of this is a great thing. But you can also get caught, right? It's a different kind of exchange, so you can get caught. You can be in that moment where you're realizing that you're being asked a very thoughtful question, and you're going to be expected to think and then to respond. And it can start to make your palms a little sweaty, right? And it can start to make you fidget a little bit as you try and engage with your head of school in a way that you know he's really listening to what you have to say. So I want to offer you a little bit of advice when you get into these moments, because these can be tricky moments, right? These can be tricky moments. So I've got a little secret for you that I want to share, which is that when you find yourself in one of these moments, you have an opportunity to ask Mr. Day if he knows about the game that took place last night. asking Chris Day about the game that took place last night, I can guarantee you that he's going to pounce like his dog Eddie does when a cooked piece of meat hits the floor from someone's plate. This is too enticing for him to not grab onto. And so it really doesn't matter who was playing or even what sport they were playing. But if you can take that moment and talk to Mr. Day about a pivotal moment in the game or a great act of sportsmanship, then you've got him. You've got him, right? And you're going to bait that hook even better if you played in that game. Because again, at the end, it's really all about you. That moment, that exchange that you have is all about you. And so this critical relationship exists, right, between the head of school and the students. There's so many other things that will be tugging in his world, but that relationship that he has with you, the students, is so critical to the life of a school, the feel, the culture of a school community. And it works both ways, right? He's going to get to know you, but you're also going to get to know him. And that's a really exciting opportunity for you. And I'll say that as someone who knows Chris, knows Cynthia, knows their family extremely well. I'm so happy for you for this opportunity to get to know their family. So, the first thing that you'll realize, and this is true about Chris, and in fact it's true about most of us, is that he's a little less than half of the Mr. and Mrs. Day equation. I don't know if any of you have enjoyed his brownies yet, or had him deliver a birthday cake, been serenaded by his beautiful singing voice, but if you have, you'd be the first one on record. They're an incredible duo, and they're an incredible family. And you're going to learn deeply about what that means over your years at Cardigan. Mr. Day introduced us at Holderness to the concept of achieving summer. Have you heard this one yet? Achieving summer. You're going to learn about this. I never heard it before Chris introduced it to us, but it's something that you're going to learn about, I'm sure. The tumbling dice of activities that the days are involved in are so plentiful. Chris can't walk past a wiffle ball game. Have you tried this one yet? Incapable of walking past a good wiffle ball game. He's a renowned scholar, not just locally, not just regionally, but he's a renowned scholar, but one who will still admit that Goodnight Gorilla is his favorite book. You're going to make your own stories with Chris and with Cynthia and with their families. And I know that they're happening already. I hope to hear about a new Polar Bear Club inductee from this winter. But enjoy those moments. You're going to love this guy. No, you're going to love this family. Chris, Cynthia, Charlie, Henry, Phoebe, wherever you are, and mostly, you're going to love this family because you're going to know, you're going to feel that they love you. So thank you, Cougars, for allowing me to participate in today's activities, and I now pass the mic to Mr. Hank Holland, Chair of the Board of Trustees.
Mr. Lewis, thank you very much. Mr. Perfield, thank you very much. Good evening. As Chair of Cardigan's Board of Trustees, it's my distinct privilege to speak on behalf of the Board and the greater Cardigan community. Before I share remarks about Mr. Day's installation as Cardigan's 10th head of school, I'd like to welcome some special guests. We're joined today by a number of our board members who generously contribute their time, energy, and resources. And boys, do me a favor, the next couple of days, take a moment to introduce yourself, say hello, share with them about your experience at Cardigan. I'd like to give a special thanks to 3 board members And if you guys would please, I know you'll hate this, but stand for me, please. Begin with Mr. Kim Kinley. It was 9 years ago that Kim presided over our last installation ceremony of Mr. Dave McCusker. He ably served on our board for many, many, many years, and certainly is a dear friend and mentor of mine. Kim, good to have you here. Next, I would like to thank Jeremy Krigler. Jeremy oversaw the effort of our search committee that resulted in the selection of Chris and Cynthia Day. And finally, Ed Crayer. I saw him earlier. See, there he is. A trusted friend of the Days and has shepherded the Days, no pun intended, through the early days at Cardigan. So each of you, thank you for all that you've done for the school. Moving on to other special guests, I'd like to welcome all the parents who are visiting the Point for Parent Weekend. I remember the first weekend I dropped off my first son who came to Cardigan. It's amazing to come back, 6 weeks later or whatever it might be. It's even more amazing when they come home the first time at Christmas to see the change and to see the boys. But welcome, we're thrilled you're here, and hopefully it'll be a bit more dry tomorrow. A special thanks also to Cynthia's parents, Bonnie and Ogden White. Thank you for joining us. And for Chris's brother, Andy Day. Thank you. Where's Andy? Oh, there's Andy. Thank you for being here. And then, unfortunately not here, but certainly in our thoughts, Chris's parents, as well as the kids, Charlie, Henry, and Phoebe. I had the privilege of knowing Charlie and Henry when my two boys were here. And it's, as we heard from Mr. Lewis, an amazing family. I don't know Phoebe as well, but two amazing, amazing boys that certainly have gone on to represent Cardigan really, really well. I'd also like to acknowledge the former head of schools during Cardigan's 71-year history. So bear with me just one moment, if I may. William R. Brewster, Robert M. Kimball, Wilfred W. Clark, Roland W. Burbank, Norman C. Wakely, Cameron K. Dewar, James H. Fennell, Thomas W. Needham, and David J. McCusker. I'm grateful for the vision and the tireless dedication of our founders and all those who've come before us. Their commitment was extraordinary, and as those of us who are on the board know, there were many, many challenges. And many days that we didn't know if Cardigan would be here 71 years later in the early days of this school. And it's really a remarkable testament to the vision of the founders, the early board members, and all that came before us. Finally, I'd like to acknowledge our incredible faculty and staff. The essence of our program is our incredible faculty and staff. Those of us who have families at home are lucky to have 5 or 6 seated meals with our kids a week. One of my favorite things to say about Cardigan is our faculty and staff have 18 or so seated meals with our boys every single week. They're with our boys 24/7. It's a remarkable dedication, and we very much appreciate all that you do. So getting on with my remarks, at this year's commencement, I spoke about to our boys the natural flow of life, the passing of chapters in our lives. I suggested that endings and beginnings are a time for reflection, a time to pause and take stock of what we value, a time to examine our purpose. And this is true for organizations just as it's true for each of us personally. As we usher in a new chapter in Cardigan's history, I would ask each of us to pause, to reflect on the purpose of Cardigan, and reflect on why Cardigan matters. Cardigan has a unique mission. We're solely focused on educating middle school age boys in a residential environment. Those of us that are parents know this in particular, as do the faculty. These are formative years. These are messy years. These are years of growth, and these are years of regrowth. And the faculty, the staff, and the board are privileged to share this chapter of our boys' lives. As we deliberated about the search for the next head of school, we felt it was imperative to have a couple, and I underscore couple, who understood and were committed to the boarding school life. To have a head of school who desired to get to know our boys and who would embrace the challenges and the triumphs that await them on the point. To have a head of school who was aspirational and would continue to advance the programs, and to have a head of school who believed that our purpose is relevant and important, perhaps today more than ever. As a community, Cardigan could not have been more fortunate than to have Chris Day at the helm as Cardigan Mountain School's 10th head of school. A comment, if I may, to digress. During the final stage of the search process, I had the pleasure of spending a couple hours with Phil Peck, the head of school at Holderness. And in many ways, it was one of those really, really important moments through the process to sit and listen and hear the reflections of someone who had lived with Chris and Cynthia's family with many years, had experienced him in a community. And he shared about the great respect and admiration that Chris's colleagues had for him. He spoke about his quiet leadership style. He spoke of his restlessness with the status quo. He spoke of his desire to innovate and to experiment. He spoke of his aspirations to continually evolve the program so that it's most relevant to students' lives in the context of the world that they will live in. A world very different than us who are parents or faculty or staff were raised in. For years, we've had an edict, and I remember this so well in meeting with Mr. McCusker when I came as a prospective parent. We will get to know your boy, and we will love your boy. This edict remains as true today, and I would add a proviso. We will challenge your boy, and we will be there to support him when he fails. I wish every boy at Cardigan the experience of failure, whether it's academically, athletically, or socially. Through failure, we learn about ourselves, we learn about our community, and we learn that we can, in fact, get through anything. It is now my distinct pleasure to honor a moment of historical significance. Please join me in celebrating the next chapter of Cardigan's history. Please join me in celebrating the installation of Mr. Chris Day as the 10th head of school. Also, if I may, it's been the tradition for 71 years at Cardigan to pass the gavel to the new head. And so now, if I may, present to you ceremoniously the gavel. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hank, for your kind words and for the trust and faith that you and Cardigan's Board of Trustees have placed in me. And I appreciate that several of the board members are here with us this evening. Tyler, I'm so grateful for your friendship, shared experiences and reflections, and gratified that you came all the way from the snows of Canada to be with us this evening. I also want to acknowledge members of Cynthia's and my family, as well as some particularly good friends, for making their way here to be with us. You honor us with your presence, and your presence is so greatly appreciated. For the faculty here assembled, your minds are likely on the parent conferences that will fill the next 2 days, and I know that you are girding for that marathon of meaningful engagements. In them, I hope that you'll strive to learn as much as you report, and that your teaching and that your conferences are mutually productive conversations that enhance your teaching as much as your students' learning. As I've said before, no one knows these boys better than their parents, and you're wise to mine these rich resources for strategies and trends. Boys, you are here in your chapel dress because, well, that's what you were told to do. Thanks, you look great. You are the most important guests of all. This ceremony is about formalizing a partnership. It is a commemoration which, for you Cardigan boys here this evening, is for you and every one of your Cardigan brothers, echoing back to the first class of graduates and projecting forward to cougars yet unborn. Weeks, months, and years from now, you may not remember much of it, but it will be in you, and more importantly, of you. It is also for the faculty and staff, past, present, and future, teachers and coaches, dorm parents and advisors, who daily dedicate themselves to the intellectual, physical, and spiritual development of the boys in their care. It is for the kitchen, facilities, health center, development, admissions, and business office staff who work so hard and thoughtfully to make sure that we are nourished, safe, and sound, and so that Cardigan has a strong foundation and a bright future. We gather to recognize all of these forces of love and energy coming together to create a community where magical things happen. This installation ceremony is an important occasion for the entire Cardigan community. As head of school, my job is to lead our efforts, to guide us, and help all of us to be our best. Unlike Mr. Holt, I've been endowed with no special power or covenant to do this. Heck, I don't even own a cape. As an individual, I am not extraordinary. On my own, I can accomplish relatively little. But as the head of the Greater Cardigan Mountain School family, I am not by myself. I am now the helmsman of a sturdy vessel, keeping a steady course through storm or weather fair. If I be your captain and you our crew, then we can leap tall buildings in a single bound, shape and bring ideas to life with the prescient hand of Michelangelo. Listen as friends and counsel as mentors. We can run faster than Usain Bolt, march downfield with more confidence than TB12 with 2 tight ends, 2 minutes, and 3 timeouts. We can dangle and snipe sweeter than Sidney Crosby, or dare I say Austin Matthews. We can see and capture images that depict struggle, strength, and perseverance with the critical eye of Dorothea Lange. This power, this gift, emanates from several complementary wellsprings, all of which unite to create our coherent community, a community of immense power and potential. 1 week ago in this very chapel, Director of Alumni Relations Jeremiah Shipman, speaking on this year's theme of Pride of Place, waxed nostalgically about the founding of Cardigan, when Dartmouth President E.M. Hopkins and Hap Hinman boldly chartered a boarding school for middle school boys. Among the takeaways for me from Mr. Shipman's talk was that these 2 men and others who joined them in this fledgling enterprise refused to give up when things looked bleak, when they couldn't raise enough money to build a schoolhouse, or when their first student packed up and went home. They rolled up their sleeves and worked harder, and in those first few years they must have had long arms. But they knew, as we know this evening, that this school was and is not only viable, but vital. This small school, located on a pristine lake, in the shadow of a majestic mountain, in a town whose heyday likely chugged away with the last coal-coughing locomotive, is now a diverse community of middle school boys, 200 strong, hailing from 22 different states in the Union and 11 countries across the globe. But what Hinman and Hopkins, and don't you think of them as fast-talking, fedora-wearing flannel suits with luckies dangling from their lips? What Hinman and Hopkins would be most proud of is that Cardigan is still scrapping for every inch we gain. What Hap Hinman was fond of saying in the early years still applies today. The surest sign of growth are that imperative needs keep rising. Look around this campus and know that our founders would be proud, but far from complacent. 8 years ago, our son Charlie arrived at Cardigan as a new student, soon to be followed by his younger brother Henry. Both, each in his turn, came to the point as nervous, excited, and goofy 6th graders. One is now a goofy college sophomore, and one a goofy high school senior. From their first visit, they were drawn to this community by a pull that was indescribable, as ineffable as the gravitational force that Mount Cardigan has on all of us when we walk to the commons for any meal or gathering. You simply cannot avoid looking at its rocky dome. Even though we know it will be there, standing sentinel, we still look to be sure. The experience that our boys had here is the reason why I am standing here before you tonight. And is the reason why Mrs. Day and I are so very honored to serve this school now and into the future. The people and programs of Cardigan necessarily evolve, but the core values, compassion, integrity, respect, and courage are as solid as our namesake. 18 months ago, when I learned that Cardigan was looking for a new head of school, I called then current head Dave McCusker to discuss the opportunity with him. It seemed like a good thing to do, given that under Dave and Steph's guidance and care, Cardigan experienced a period of tremendous growth and healthy development. His thoughts piqued my interest. This past summer, shortly after I took over as head of school, Cynthia and I visited Norm and Bev Wakely. Norm Wakely was headmaster here from 1963 to 1989, and he and his wife Bev infused Cardigan with its core strength and caring soul. Mr. Wakely was Mr. McCusker's headmaster when he was a student here. He is wise, and I listened. Just 2 weeks ago, Mrs. Day and I met Chip and Janet Dewar in Hanover for dinner. Mr. Dewar was headmaster at Cardigan from 1989 until 2005, and they made the trip from their home in Cape Cod to connect with us, share stories and a meal, and wish us well. When I discovered that they were spending the night in a local hotel, I asked what other business they had in the area that brought them all the way here. None, they said. We came to welcome you and Cynthia to Cardigan. What an incredible gesture, I thought. Having met and listened carefully to the words and advice from headmasters past, I discovered that they all shared one thing in common, which I will share with you in a moment. After I'd been named as the head of school last fall, Mr. McCusker periodically invited me to come by for meetings to discuss the transition. Curiously, at the end of one of our last transition meetings, as I was gathering my things to leave, Mr. McCusker asked me to wait and proceeded to walk over and reach behind his bookshelf. He then stepped towards me and handed me a nondescript felt pouch and beckoned me to look inside. At first, all I saw was a folded up yellow tie. I thought, well, that's odd, because anybody who knows me knows that I would never wear a yellow tie. I abhor yellow ties. Nevertheless, to be polite, I unwrapped it to show him that I appreciated his gift, when in my hand dropped a small, oddly shaped object, the likes of which I had never seen before. It seemed to be changing color and had blurry letters on it. Try as I might, I could not make it out. When I looked at him questioningly, he just winked, shrugged, and said, "You might want to hang on to that." When I got home, I looked at it again, and still the object would not reveal its message. I stowed it in the back of my sock drawer, where everyone keeps all their important stuff. This past summer, when Mrs. Day and I went to Maine to meet with the Wakeleys, a similar thing happened. As we were finishing Mrs. Wakely's delicious apple pie and were making ready to depart, Mr. Wakely called me over to where he was sitting in his recliner. As I leaned in to shake his hand, he grasped my hand with his, and with his left arm pulled me towards him with astonishing strength. He whispered something in my ear which I could not make out. When I tried to ask him to repeat himself, it was too late. Our grip had been broken and he was backing away. But as I opened my hand, after his firm grip, in it was a felt pouch. I looked back at him, but by then he was gazing out his window, and I could tell that my audience with the great man was finished. When we got to the car, I opened the pouch, and sure enough, another oddly shaped object. Like the last one, it seemed to be animated by some confounded code that, try as I might, I couldn't decipher. When we got home, I dejectedly placed it next to the other object at the back of my sock drawer, where everyone keeps their important stuff. When I closed the drawer, I thought I heard a voice coming from within. I snapped the drawer open, only to be met by the muted mocking of my socks. I had nearly forgotten all about this, as I mentioned 2 weeks ago, Mrs. Day and I met at their request, former headmaster and Mrs. Dewar, at a restaurant in Hanover. All evening I kept waiting for the sign. But neither of them gave any indication that this would be anything but a pleasant dinner. At the end of the evening, we got up to leave and exchanged handshakes and hugs. This was the moment. This was the moment I had been waiting for, but nothing transpired. No secrets were shared, no keys revealed. I was quiet all the way home until finally Mrs. Day broke the silence and said, "Funny thing, when we were leaving the restaurant, Mrs. Dewar gave me a little felt pouch and said that it held and said that it held old clips that went to the curtains in the Freeze House office. What? I gasped as I nearly drove off the road. When we got home, I said that I needed to do a little work in the office. And, oh, why don't I take those curtain clips off your hands? She gave me, Mrs. Day, an odd look, but I snatched the pouch from her hands, and instead of going into the office, I clambered upstairs, taking 2, maybe 3 stairs at a time, and found myself breathlessly standing at the front of my bureau, unraveling what surely was the missing piece to the puzzle. I opened my sock drawer, where everyone keeps all their important stuff. And I took the other 2 pieces out and joined them with the third. As soon as I laid them together, I saw that they actually seemed to fit together, like puzzle pieces. In fact, they began to fuse together with some centripetal force. When finally conjoined thusly, their cryptic veil fell away and revealed its long-held message, the secret that all of these Cardigan leaders had protected for so many years. This was like Raiders of the Lost Ark and the Da Vinci Code all in one. I readied myself to receive what could only be the secrets of successful leadership at Cardigan. I had pencil and paper ready in case the message disappeared as fast as a Insta-Snapgram tweet does. Suddenly, there it was, as clear as the water in Canaan Street Lake. Know the boys and love the boys, it said. Know the boys and love the boys, really? That's it? That's the key? Frankly, I expected something a bit more profound from the old-timers. But then it occurred to me, kind of in the way it occurred to the Grinch, as his sled inched closer to the precipice, with his dog Max dangling close to oblivion. Just as it is hopefully occurring to you now. The magic of Cardigan is not in the fantastic, but in the everyday. Not in the wand, but in the wizard who believes in its power. Knowing you and loving you has been the foundational promise of Cardigan for 70 years. It is activated when you help the other fella, or when you hold a door for the next person, adult or kid, or when you shake your opponent's hand, look them in the eye, and tell them they played a great game, win or lose. It's when you bust your butt on a project or assignment and don't get the grade you wanted, and instead of feeling sorry for yourself, you go for extra help and figure out what you missed. It's not cutting corners. It's squaring your chairs and not wasting food. It's taking responsibility when we mess up, boys and adults alike. And it's taking the time to thank your parents at some point this weekend for letting you come to this awesome school. This, my friends, is the extraordinary created by the ordinary. Now, you didn't need me to make up this story for you to know all this. Yes, Taiwan, that whole thing about the felt pouches, I made that part up. All here know that at Cardigan you are known and you are loved. It is a simple but potent recipe. The building of relationships which allow all Cardigan Cougars to find comfort in being out of their comfort zones as they learn and grow. The heads who came before shared a fierce devotion to the boys in this community, and they all possessed an optimistic outlook for the future. This evening I am proud to take up this mantle and join the ranks of those who had the privilege of serving before me. It is altogether fitting that we celebrate moments such as this to pay tribute to the significant contributions of the thousands of individuals who have shaped the school that we live and love today. Before I close, as Mr. Holland did, let's take a moment to reflect on the succession of headmasters who have served Cardigan in its 70 year of existence. William R. Brewster, Robert Kimball, Wilford W. Clark, Roland Burbank, Norman C. Wakely, Cameron K. Dewar, James H. Fennell, Thomas Needham, and David J. McCusker. Like Cardigan, I am blessed to have so many in my life who have loved, supported, and helped me along the way. My wife Cynthia, our children Charlie, Henry, and Phoebe, my parents and brothers, Cynthia's incredible family, and a band of friends which grows larger every day. I am proud to take my place in this line and will do my very best to lead this worthy community, our favored school, boldly into the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Day. Good evening, everyone. Following the singing of the Cardigan hymn, please remain standing as Dr. Houston comes up to deliver the benediction for this evening. For those of you with programs, the words to the Cardigan hymn can be found on the back page of your program. And now please rise and join in the singing of the Cardigan hymn, accompanied by Mrs. Perricone on the organ. To Cardigan, our favored school, by nature's gifts benign, we raise in song our thankfulness for beauty which is thine, for winter snow, for afterglow, when day fades into dreams of goals toward which we all will strive, to keep thy faiths alive, to keep thy faith in us alive. Together we will strive, as Cardigan is mirrored in our crystal lake so clear. May we through life reflect thy truths and memories as dear, of summer's green, fall's colors bright, of glimmering stars at night. God, give us strength to carry on through storm or weather fair, the peace vouchsafed by living here for all the world to share.
Friends, colleagues, members of the Cardigan Mountain School community, please join me in prayer or silent contemplation. You may bow your head if you wish. We depart for a new beginning. We accept the challenge of a new path. We trust the enduring spirit of our community, founded on the principles of compassion, integrity, respect, and courage. We believe that last year's words belong to last year's language, and that this year's words await a new voice. For to have made an end is to make a beginning. Amen.